Hi colleagues, this is Filip Mstislavski, and I would like to share kind of a test or an experiment in making content of a pretty complicated software package available and easily understood by students. I created this document to essentially step students through a package of software that's used in the course that I've been teaching called Geographic Information Systems for Public Health. And this particular course is essentially a toolbox where the students learn different tools within the toolbox to apply to public and social health problems in the geographic context. In order for them to do it, they need to know what is in the toolbox, and this is sort of the beginning of the course. In the past, I have not had a document that summarizes every package or every tool within the package. Now I have created this document to make it more accessible and understandable by students. So I will try to step through this really quickly, and please bear with me. I know some of this is technical and perhaps not particularly useful, but I wanted to try it out and get some feedback from you. So ArcGIS is the software we have been using in this course. It is a bundle of products that are developed by a company called Environmental Systems Research Institute in California, and it consists of a number of things. The lowest level of licensing that's available, it's called ArcReader, and it's a freely downloadable map browser that allows users to look at different maps online. Easy to use, but not particularly useful for analytical purposes. The next level up is something called ArcGIS Explorer, which is also freely downloadable GIS package, but with very limited capabilities. Right above this, in terms of analytical capabilities and mapping capabilities, there is something called ArcGIS Engine, which is set of application programming interfaces in .NET, .com, Java, and C#, which provide programmer access to developing software components using something called ArcGIS Objects. Now, that one is particularly useful to those of us who are interested in programming and scripting software. For average GIS analyst, the ArcGIS is where they mostly focus their attention. It is this desktop-based application, and it consists of 3 different levels of licensing. I know it sounds a bit convoluted and complicated, and hopefully I will be able to explain it in the next few minutes. So ArcGIS Info is the highest level of licensing for GIS desktop application, and it consists of 2 pieces of software: ArcMap, which is where you do most of your mapping, and something called ArcCatalog, which is for Windows users the most similar component would be Explorer for Windows. So it allows you to look at files that are stored on your computer and bring them into the mapping application, which is ArcGIS. The level of licensing that ArcGIS provides, the 3 levels of licensing that are available for ArcGIS Desktop are ArcInfo, ArcEditor, and ArcView. ArcInfo is the highest level of licensing, which is what students get with this with the student license that you get during the course. The next level below it is ArcGIS Editor, which has somewhat lesser power and fewer capabilities, and the least capabilities is ArcGIS ArcView, which has even fewer capabilities. Now, to explain those two interrelated pieces of software, I would like to say that ArcMap is simply the application where you do all of your mapping, analysis, and display, while ArcCatalog is the system to browsing and storing information that you would use for mapping. The at all those three levels, there's three principal components that allow you to do more specialized work. There is 3D Analyst, which allows you to use 3D mapping tools. There is Spatial Analyst, which allows the users to map relationships in space. And there's Geostatistical Analyst, which has more advanced statistical capabilities. There's also a number of extensions that are available within ArcGIS, and they can be appended, usually at cost to user, to the original ArcGIS installation. Now, in terms of how this all works in practice, we can imagine the following scenario. So if you would like to analyze this particular area for particular health outcomes, for example, you have a number of records of infectious diseases and you would like to see if these infectious disease cases are clustered in space. So this body of data sits somewhere here on your ArcGIS catalog. Now, the level in order for this data to be mapped, there should be a set of capabilities to process this data, which is what the software provides. And then there is the user end interface, the graphical user interface, if you will, which is a set of tools that are usually hardware that allow you to control the software by manipulating things like mouse or keyboard and touch screen and other input devices that are available. Now, in order for me to produce a map, even the simplest map, all of these three pieces have to work together. In terms of the view that I would get, as we mentioned earlier, there is a component that allows you to do 3D imaging, which is ArcScene. There is also a component that allows you to have a view similar to to Google Earth. And if we expand this overview a bit more, the data that we would use for ArcGIS comes in three different formats. What we would call tabular databases. Excel would be one of them, or Microsoft Access, and raster encoded data, which is very familiar to most people because the cell phones typically generate pictures that have geographically referenced raster encoded data. So any picture is in fact a raster. It's a grid of cells that contain values, usually in color space. And then vector encoded drawings. These are lines, polygons, and points that represent a particular attribute or particular event in time and space. Now, I will not dwell on the differences and similarities between these files. This is something that the students can explore later on during the course. What I would like to highlight, however, is that the ArcGIS software itself allows principally four different capabilities. Data preparation, where one would prepare data to be displayed in the software, data presentation, which is typically a map, 2D or 3D, and then data interpretation, which is typically analysis. An example would be cases of cholera spread over space and time, and how these cases relate one each other. Is there contagion effect? That would be a typical research question that one would pose. And then the last component that I almost omitted is clearly important is the programming. So if the software itself does not permit a specific function of specific type of analysis, programming will come into play. Data preparation as when just to expand this a little more, data preparation is when we enable data in variety of formats to transform and edit to be transformed and edited within ArcGIS or any other geographic information system software. There's a presentation is when we enable these capabilities of the software to display the data in a specific type of format. And then data presentation is, of course, what we would describe as, presenting map in either virtual or physical form. And then programming is when we apply all those different capabilities to change the manner in which GIS works with the data to derive a specific type of analysis. The processing control in ArcGIS is quite sophisticated, and we will discuss this more during the course. I have provided some examples of how different controls work within ArcGIS, and the last thing I would like to highlight at the conclusion before we recap is that there is much more to what I described, as you could suspect, because of the complexity of this particular package and its advanced capabilities. And so applications, documents, and data sources are the three big buckets that we will deal with during the course. Now, just to recap what we've covered, within ArcGIS package itself, we have ArcGIS for desktop with its many extensions, ArcGIS Engine, which is the programming interface, ArcGIS Explorer, which is free software that allows you to map with very limited capabilities, and then ArcReader, which is web-based map browser, sort of like Google Maps, if you will, but one that's specifically designed to work with ArcGIS formats. And I would, at this point, like to take some questions from the audience. Obviously, in my present form, this is not ready yet for prime time, but this is something I wanted to try. And one thing that I think would really improve this process of preparation for this type of lectures is to have some type of screen where the text could be displayed to the presenter while the slides are being shown, or images are being shared, or documents are being shared. Thank you.